Hey friends, we are deep into the season of festivities. Thanksgiving is behind us. We have put up all of our Christmas decorations in this house, including trees and candles and umpteen lights, Santas and snowmen all over the house, Christmas pillows, the whole thing. I wanted to share with you 10 fragrances that remind me of this time of year and that you may want to wear as you are preparing for the holidays or wrapping gifts or attending Christmas breakfast or other holiday lunches and brunches and dinners and whatever. I've got some good ones here. I will share that most of them do have what we call our traditional sort of fall and winter baking types of spices. And so I'm cheating a little bit. Some of these are also like classic fall fragrances that also remind me of this end of year type of like set of festivities and holidays. So cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, etc. Those types of fall scents that also do really, really well here as we head into the Christmas season. There's no way I can do like a holiday festivities type of fragrance video without talking about one obvious one. So I'll just go on and get it out of the way, but say this is probably my strongest endorsement across the 10 that I'm going to mention here. And that's the beautiful Angel Share from Kilian. This is a crowd pleaser and a favorite for a reason. Not everyone loves this, but that's the case with every fragrance, right? There are fragrances that folks love, and then other people, one man's, what is it? One man's trash is another man's treasure, or however the expressions go. So this is a treasure for me. I've loved it since the day that I laid my nose on it. Beautiful, boozy, cinnamony, vanilla, woody fragrance. Really heavy on the cinnamon. For me, heavy on the booze. I love how the sandalwood in the fragrance comes to play more as it settles down. Heavy on the vanilla. This is deep and beautiful and I think it's like equal parts playful and sexy. Definitely a compliment getter and one that will get noticed. For me, this has pretty good longevity and a really nice presence in a space, a crowd pleaser. I think it's the cinnamon booziness that people just really adore about this. Great sillage on this fragrance. For me, this is worth the full retail price. I'm trying to think, can you get this anywhere on discount? Y'all let us know below. I haven't looked it up if you've seen this on discount anywhere. I think Costco and Sam's Clubs and places like that sometimes will sell this on discount. And maybe you picked it up in the Sephora sale for 20% off if you got lucky. This can do no wrong to me. Love this. And will likely repurchase this when I'm done with this bottle. By the way, if you haven't heard me say this in a previous video or heard anyone else say the origin of the name, Angel's Share, it has to do with the process of making alcohol and that in the end, there is a certain sort of evaporation that happens from the process. And so those vapors that come from the end processes of making alcohol, in this case, it's cognac, that is said to rise up into the heavens and become the angel's share of the booze, which I just think is such a cool name for a fragrance, especially considering that Kilian has its origins in the alcohol industry. Another fragrance that I should probably get out of the way because it's gotten a lot of airtime in the fall as it went through sort of a craze of purchasing as it came back in stock in places. And I contributed to that because I ran out and got this fragrance. It's Jo Malone's Ginger Biscuit. So just really quickly, this bow gets a lot of attention and it doesn't have to. I mean, it's just a regular Jo Malone bottle. But then, we all go crazy over the addition of like the bow that probably cost, 2 or 3 pennies to, to add on in manufacturing. But anyway, the fragrance smells very much to me like a ginger snap cookie or shortbread that has those sort of fall spices in it. It's playful, it's whimsical, it's light. It's not a fragrance to be taken seriously or to try to wear all day. Some folks say they get all day longevity out of this. I don't understand how. I get a few hours and it becomes very, very much a skin scent. But I like that it's light and it's playful and it's delicate and it's a fun, like zingy type of fragrance because of the ginger. A lot of vanilla. It has a nuttiness to it as well, but mostly a ginger snap cookie type of smell. Or you know what else it smells like? Okay, even more than a ginger snap, a snickerdoodle. A snickerdoodle, you know what I'm talking about? It's like a vanilla cookie, cookie dough with a little vanilla in it, and it has a sprinkling of fall spices. It's probably more that than a ginger snap, but I still think it smells like a ginger snap too. And it's fun. This is the kind of fragrance that I would consider throwing on Christmas morning, for example, or Christmas Eve when you just want to sit around and make cookies and you want to smell a little bit like a cookie. You would throw something like this on in the morning as you're opening gifts when you don't want your presence to be, your fragrance presence to be the star of the show, but you want to smell nice and pleasant while you're doing that. Really neat little fragrance. Thumbs up. So I know that a lot of people associate this next fragrance with Christmas. I can't say that it gives me like Christmas vibes, but there's something about this that made me want to include it in the video. And I think it is the bottle and the name of the fragrance and the vibe of the fragrance, even though it's not as Christmassy per se as like Angel Share. And that is Starlight by Xerjoff. So, we've talked about the bottle being nice with the little X's on it and whatever. I don't think the bottle is all that spectacular. It's a Xerjoff bottle, okay? But I do like that it reminds me of like a starry night. So that's nice, okay? And I like the name Starlight. It reminds me of All is Calm, All is Bright, that name in the song Silent Night, which is probably one of my favorite holiday songs of all time. It just evokes something in me, brings this sort of calm over me. I don't really think of this as a Christmassy fragrance. I do imagine wearing this if you are like Catholic, for example, and go to Catholic Mass on Christmas Eve. This would be a really elegant fragrance to wear. Folks get a heavy dose of cardamom in the fragrance. And yes, you do get that. There are other fragrances that offer even a heavier dose of cardamom. And so I wouldn't necessarily point this out as being a cardamom fragrance, although people do. But the cardamom, along with other spices, cinnamon, an ambery accord, and there's a nice light and bright citrus in here that I think gives this fragrance an elegance that is perfect for all 4 seasons. I can even see wearing this in the summertime, but I would imagine wearing this to like an evening mass or other type of religious ceremony where you want it to smell elegant and unique and different than others without smelling too perfumey. It's understated luxe is how I would describe this fragrance. It's softer to the skin for me, and you'll get moderate longevity out of the fragrance. So perfect for like that evening before a festive event when you want to be a little bit more reflective, you want some quiet time, but you want to smell elegant and pretty too. And then perhaps my most unusual recommendation in this category, and this is really for whimsy and for fun, to break up the usual suspects, but I do think that this would be a great fragrance for those of you that are attending like family festivities and you want to smell feminine, girly, sweet, and fun. Good old Amo Ferragamo from Salvatore Ferragamo does not disappoint for that. I enjoy this bottle too. I think it's so pretty. So the fragrance is, for me, this happy, effervescent, fruity fragrance. It has, for me, some citrus nuances. I don't see anything in the note structure that is citrusy. There's rhubarb, rhubarb, and Campari. Campari is used for to give it a light, bright, sort of effervescent feel. I've had this for a long time. This is one of those fragrances that has survived declutter after declutter after declutter. For me, it's like a forgotten gem, forgotten love on YouTube. It had a moment back in 2019 into 2020. Lots of folks were loving on this. It's just bright. A lot of people say this smells like an orange creamsicle. You know what? This has a lot in common, sneak preview, with some aspects of Panettone, because I just got like a sense of Panettone when you first open it up, at least the fruity parts of it. The fruity sweetness of Panettone when you first break that bread open, but this doesn't smell like bread. It's just that, anyway, I'm getting all beside myself. Happy, effervescent. I put it in here because it's one of those scents that's really great year-round, but has enough heft and presence to really have a place in a winter lineup, if you will. A bright, happy, fun, fruity, flirty, vanillic fragrance for winter. It has just like the right hit of tartness and this beautiful effervescence that I think just makes this a fun, festive fragrance. Reviews for this next fragrance have been all over the place, and it cracks me up. Some people, well, it's Tonka Cola from Mancera. By the way, it looks like I haven't used it a lot. I've worn this about 3 times already. You don't need a lot of sprays because, like most Manceras, this is uber duper strong. So some people get a lot of Coca-Cola, like the smell from a Coke or Pepsi or whatever, cola smell. And then some folks get Old Spice, like 1980s, old gentleman Old Spice, which cracks me up. For me, this is heavy on the cinnamon and this sort of resinous accord. I think it's from the benzoin in the fragrance. I mean, we know Mancera uses all types of powerhouse materials in their fragrances to get them to last a long time. This is a heavy hitter. This could have been in my heavy hitter video easily, because a few sprays will do you and it'll last all day. I happen to think it's fun. I enjoy the tonka bean and the cinnamon here. I enjoy the resinous touches. I feel like it's a warm, cozy, and it has some fun aspects type of fragrance. Some people pick up some cherry in the fragrance. I have picked up some cherry, but I can't say I get the cherry part of it all the time. But it is a really neat powerhouse of a fall winter fragrance, and it has that same tonka bean feeling that Fève Délicieuse does. And in that sense, sometimes tonka bean can give you a little bit of a cherry nuance. So I can see where people get that from. I get it. But I think it's a fun, warm fall fragrance. So then let's go on to Sir or Gal Panettone here from Milano Fragranze. I really enjoy these bottles. I talked about it in another video. I appreciate the uniqueness of the caps and the trouble that they went through to have something unique like this, and the color of the bottle being unique as well. I am a huge fan of Panettone this time of year, any time of year. I love Panettone, and I like the fruit Panettone more than the chocolate chip one. I've had that too. The fruit Panettone smells like this beautiful sweet bread. It's like sweet bread, like almost like the sweet Easter bread that some folks make, and it has pieces of dried fruit. So it has this citrusy, fruity smell to it, and that's what you get here. This smells like fresh Panettone bread that has been toasted in the oven and has some butter on it and allowed to cool down. So good. Really fun, very photorealistic. It does smell like fruity bread. So if the idea of smelling like food is not appealing to you, I would say skip this. But if you like the comforting sense that you get from bready fragrances, this one is hard to beat. And I think the bottle's so pretty too. I do feel like this leans more feminine, although I think this is one that'll smell great on anyone. And it has about moderate longevity and projection. So it's really just like a fun fragrance to wear for maybe half a day or more. And then you kind of have to re-up. But a great one if you're baking and want to mimic the smell of what you're baking. It's just a fun one to put on. Somehow 2 Xerjoffs snuck into my lineup. I don't like to have more than one fragrance from a house in a lineup just for variety's sake. I must not have been paying attention. Next up, this chameleon that shows up in many videos across many seasons. This is a surprise sort of sleeper, if you will, for like an all-season type of scent. Dolce Amalfi. So it's a very particular type of fragrance, and not everyone's going to love this. I just want to be clear about that. I put it in here because it reminds me so much of my mom, who loved to chew juicy fruit. That was like her favorite gum. She liked the spearmint gum too, but juicy fruit. And she would come home in her leather coat with juicy fruit on her breath. And it was just always like comforting and fun when she came in. And we knew it was time to like unwind and settle down for the night. And so when you think about like long, cold, dark winter, did I say summer? I meant to say winter. When you think of dark, cold winter nights, this type of smell comes to mind as one of many that I found comfort in. The fragrance does have some like a resinous, balsamic nature to it, but the juicy fruit aspect in here is strong. It has cloves, so if you enjoy the scent of cloves, it's not overpowering, but it's there, it's present, you can smell it, almost like clove cigarettes, except without the cigarette part of it. Cloves and cardamom and some other spices. There's vanilla. So it's like equal parts like fruity, happy, joyful as it is serious and spicy. And I love that about it. I love that it's a chameleon of a fragrance that spans seasons, and the bottle's festive. It's just a super cool fragrance. So I'm leaving it in here. I'm leaving it as the second Xerjoff. Neat, and has good lasting power and good projection. One of my favorite things about the deep, dark coldness of winter is that it's a good excuse to eat like buttered bread, hot croissants with butter on them. Ooh, man, oh man, if bread had the same nutritional value as vegetables, I would eat nothing but bread. So this fragrance sort of reminds me of buttered bread, and there's a little bit of fruitiness to it also, but it's a comforting, wonderful holiday smell. You can wear it on non-holiday occasions also, friends. This is Jousset Accident à la Vanille, and this is the Madeleine de Proust Flanker. Proust Flanker. And the main difference here is a little bit of a peachy nuance, very subtle. You know, peach can be one of those funny notes that people either love or hate in fragrances, but it does have a little bit of like luscious fruitiness to it. but more than anything, a biscuit note, which for me translates into an actual bread note. I think it means biscuit in the sense of like crackers or something. But for me, I do get like this doughy, beautiful breadiness from the fragrance, a brightness from the fruitiness, and absolutely this very creamy, buttery, ooh, thickness to it that I just love. This is a glorious fragrance for gourmand lovers who maybe don't want to be super heavy on the vanilla, sugary aspects, and you want to lean more in like that bready direction. Really neat. In fact, I wonder how these two would layer together to be like a Christmas bread delight. Maybe I'll have to try that. This fragrance also has a little bit of a coconut in it. This is so good. This smells as though, imagine if pina colada, imagine if there was a bread that had a pina colada scent to it. Just let the two things, let them play in your mind, okay? Just play along here with me. A pina colada bread with a little bit of fruitiness. Wow, super good. Overall, moderate longevity and projection. So my fragrance of the day and a new love on me from my husband. Like he's like, wear that one. Surprisingly, it's Amouage Crimson Rocks. This is one that sort of snuck into my collection. You know how I'm always talking about in those haul or new beauties videos that, oh my gosh, I purchased so many fragrances and I can only talk about 10 and there's others. This is one of those that kind of snuck it onto the shelves and has been sitting there looking at me, being glad that it's finally home with me. But here's the thing, when I sampled this, I was like, this is okay, but I'm just not sure it's for me. And then as often happens, friends, you get those sales. Those sales, they get you. I believe I purchased this on Joma Shop at a really great discount. And when I tell you that this fragrance is a powerhouse and wonderful for this festive time of year, I mean that. We're looking at rosy woodiness with lots of like a heaping dose of cinnamon and sweetness from a honey note. So imagine those four players together, like a woody base with dashes of sweetness from honey, this real fun spiciness from cinnamon, and also pepper, a little bit of pepper in there, and then this glorious sort of rose on top of all of that. And I wouldn't say that well, maybe the rose stands out a little bit more than the others. The rose might be the dominant player, but the others are not far behind. Like they play well together. They're like a little quartet of notes in here that just go on and on all day long till the break of dawn. Till the break of dawn. This smells beautiful, beautiful, big presence, big personality in this fragrance. So you can't be a wallflower. You can't be one of those folks that likes a, subtle, shy fragrance. Are any of these subtle and shy? If you are subtle and shy, I would go for the Ginger Biscuit or maybe try the Starlight to be like elegant, but not, taking over a whole room. This is going to have some presence in the room. Beautiful fragrance, great projection, great sillage, great longevity, the whole bit. Really, really pretty. I think this is still on Joma Shop. You can check my link below and see if it's still there and still on sale. And I've been waiting for this video to feature this fragrance. I don't think I've talked about it before. I got it this fall when I started to explore this house. It's Omnia Profumi and it is Bronzo. And I think there's a new bottle for this. So this might be an older bottle shape, really big, substantial square bottle here. And I think the other newer ones are in like that rounder shape that looks like an apple. Anyway, this is a winter Christmas tree smell type of bomb. I don't mean Christmas tree and smelling like pine. I mean in like all of the things that surround the tree. Cinnamon, cloves, very heavy on the cinnamon and cloves. And beautiful, beautiful, very deep, almost like a romantic vanilla. I have to tell you, when this first came, I was sitting in the parking lot and I opened it. I purchased it off of Mercari. I ripped open that box because I was so excited to smell this. And I was like, oh my God, why do people love this? It was so, so heavy on the spices. It was like concentrated. Mind you, it was a warm day. It had just traveled. Now that this has sat on my shelf for about a month or so and had the opportunity to just cool down and mellow out, as I'm going by and sniffing it more and more, it's like what I loved about the description of it and smells exactly as described. Beautiful cinnamon, clove, like that beautiful Christmas spice type of smell with the vanilla for sweetness. And I adore this. And speaking of layering, I wonder how these two would layer. That might be a fun combination. Or Angel Share and Bronzo together might be a winter spice bomb of a fragrance. Woo! But of all of these, this is the most quintessential Christmas traditional smell. As always, friends, I'll have some other recommendations down in the pinned comment for fragrances that didn't make it into this video. Like I think my very primary one in the last year's Christmas type of video I did was Christmas in New York by Demeter, which I still have. These beat that out this year, but I'm going to put that down in the pinned comment along with others. Anyway, let me know what you thought of this lineup. Eager to hear your thoughts. I wish you the most festive of holiday seasons. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, friends.